Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to talk to you about buying a new computer. Now this is not a technical guide, this is just hints and tips about how to look for a decent new computer at a reasonable price. First of all, when is it time to buy a new computer? Well, in my estimation there are three main reasons why you need to buy a new computer. Firstly, the computer doesn't do what you want it to do. It doesn't run the latest software that you need to do your job. Secondly, it does what you want it to do, but it does it really slowly. That's the common problem. The computer just slows down over time and it becomes intolerably slow to use. And thirdly, the computer does everything okay and it does it at a reasonable speed, but from time to time it just locks or just breaks in some fashion. So if any of these three circumstances are what you're seeing on your old computer, then think about buying a new computer. Now I will say it's always a good idea to buy a new computer before your old computer dies a death, because it's much easier to transfer your information and set up the new computer when you have the old computer as a reference point. Now let's have a little quiz. On the screen you can see two laptops. They're both Dell Inspiron 15-inch 3000 series. Now which one costs more and which one costs less? As you can see, it's the one on the right. The one on the left is the bottom of the range of the Dell Inspiron, and the one on the right is the top of the range. And you can see the top of the range is double the price. Now, if you look at these two laptops side by side without actually knowing what's inside them, you'll find that you won't be able to tell any difference at all. So beware when you walk into your shop to buy your new computer, or look at the computer online if you buy it online. Be careful to have a look at the specifications of the computer, not just the price. Don't go for the cheap one, you'll undoubtedly be disappointed. So what you got to look for in a new PC? There's four main elements. There's the processor, and that's the brains of the computer. The memory, that's the amount of things the computer can do at once. The storage, that's where you store your data, your pictures, your documents, videos, etc. And the graphics, which is split up into the display, how you actually view the computer, and also the graphics, the thing that actually powers the monitor or screen. Firstly, let's talk about the processor, the CPU. There are two main companies that supply most of the processors for the computing market, Intel and AMD. Now I'm not going to go into any great technical discussion about the different types of processor, overclocking, memory speeds and the like. All I just want to say is Intel supply Core i3s, i5s, i7s and the professional chips. If you buy a computer with an i3, it's good, an i5 will be faster and an i7 even faster than that. On the AMD front, you've got the Ryzen 3s, Ryzen 5s and 7s. Now I will point out that if you're looking for a fast laptop, you'll very often find that you won't see Intel Core i7 or a Ryzen 7. That's because those processors tend to be very power hungry. If you're looking for a laptop computer, you have to also balance the battery against the power of the processor. Next, let's talk about memory, RAM if you like. You don't need to worry about the type of memory that you have in your new computer, because that's linked to the type of processor. All you need to worry about is the quantity. Now a lot of cheap laptops and desktops come with 4 GB of RAM. This is a little bit low to run modern software. So the sweet spot is usually 8 or 16 GB of memory, but you may need to go higher if you're going to be doing things like video editing. Now let's talk about storage. In traditional terms, that's your hard disk. In the past, you only had really one option, an old-fashioned spinning mechanical hard disk drive. These are quite cheap, but also pretty slow to run modern programs. I would recommend that you buy a computer with a solid state disk. Now if you look at the specifications for most new computers, you'll see that you may find it'll state that the storage is an M.2 or NVMe, that stands for non-volatile memory express. Don't really matter what they call it, it's a solid state disk, an SSD. I would advise going for one of these over the more traditional hard disk drive, because you really will notice an increase in speed of your new computer. Saying that, if you need to have high capacity because you're storing loads of pictures or you're doing video editing, then you require both a solid state disk that stores the operating system and vital programs, and then a second disk which can be a slow hard disk drive that has high capacity to store your pictures or video or whatever it happens to be. Lastly, let's talk about graphics. Now, if you're buying a laptop, of course you can't change the type of screen that's on the laptop, but I would advise making sure the laptop has a full HD display or higher. There are a lot of cheap laptops that have HD ready screens, and they're quite poor quality for today's programs. If you're buying an external monitor, then of course you're not limited to any one size, so think about the actual size that feels comfortable for your eyes, and you can get a screen resolution that's appropriate for the size of screen. The thing that drives the screen or monitor is the graphics card, GPU. Most standard workhorse type laptops and desktops use the integrated graphics card that comes with the computer. But if you need high performance graphics because you're into your games, you probably need to have a discrete graphics card, a GPU. In general, these type of graphics cards are installed in gaming computers or high performance workstations. A few more things to think about. Firstly, do you actually need a DVD in your new computer? If you do, then you can get one, but they tend to boost the price. If you really need one once in a while, consider just buying an external USB DVD disc. They should cost about £20 to £30. Next, make sure your new computer has got the right type of connections you need to run all the different bits and bobs that you have plugged into your old computer. Especially USB ports on new computers come in several different versions. So make sure you've got the right type of USB ports to run the gadgets that you have plugged into your old computer. You may find that you need to have an adapter to make sure that everything fits. Next, if you're buying a second-hand PC, make sure it comes with a valid licensed operating system, normally Windows 10. A lot of second-hand computers come with a blank hard disk, and you're expected to install the operating system of your choice. And if you're up for that type of thing, then this video is probably not for you. If you're buying a desktop computer and you need Wi-Fi, make sure the new desktop computer has Wi-Fi, because not all do. And lastly, if you're recycling your existing monitor, when you buy your new desktop, make sure the monitor has got the right cable for your new computer. A lot of old monitors only have something called a VGA cable, and a lot of new desktop computers only have a HDMI connection, and the two don't mix, although you can get an adapter to make the connection. Let's have a quick word about Apple Macs, the iMac and MacBooks. Now, if you've been a PC user for a long time and you've been hassled to say, why don't you get yourself a Mac? They're much better. Well, in some respects they are, and in others they're not. In essence, Macs are quite powerful, they're well built, the operating system that they use is quite intuitive, easy to use, and they work well if you have other Apple products like iPhones, iPads, etc. The downside is they are quite expensive. They tend to cost at least 50% more than the equivalent Windows-based computers. And also, if you've got certain software that you've been running on your PC for a long time, make sure it will work on a Mac, because some don't. Finally, when you buy a new computer, make sure that you only buy any add-ins, such as extended warranty, or cloud storage, or software licenses, if you're absolutely certain you need them and the price that they're charging is a reasonable one. Very often you can get ripped off. Think about not only the price of the computer, but the price of any additional items that they try and foist upon you. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.